everybody. Welcome to Stand Up for Autism Special Edition with Ken Mosca and Isabel Mosca.
I've been looking forward to this for quite a while now. As you know, our show, our 12th annual Stand Up for Autism comedy show will be held on Thursday, July the 14th, once again at Seaview, Dolce Resort in Galloway. And I am so excited. We are so excited to have with us today to talk about that show, to talk about comedy in general, our old pal, Richie Byrne.
Okay, let's bring him on. There he is.
And there he is.
What's up, guys?
Good to see you, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We are doing well. The feedback we're getting about our show has been great. Tickets are selling great. We are looking for another just outstanding night of comedy. And what's really nice is that I know over the years you've taken some great shots at me for not having you on the big show. This is our big show. I know you did the school show many years ago.
Yeah.
And we finally have Richie Byrne on our big show. I'm sure you're thrilled. A guy who's done Caroline's on Broadway, Dangerfields, Gotham Comedy Club,
Radio City, Ken. Radio
City. But most impressive, Richie was the first stand-up to do in New York. The I was about to say League of Nations, United Nations. The United Nations. Richie gets up there.
That's really old.
Richie gets up there and and says, "Hey, anyone here from out of town?" I think that's one of the great opening lines in the perfect spot at the United Nations.
Well, the funny thing is most of the people were foreigners and didn't get it, so they all raised their hand. Like
that's even funnier yet. So those of us who get it, Richie, I've known you for a long time, been friends for a long time. That might be one of the best opening lines, whether they got it or not, one of the best opening lines in the history of stand-up comedy. And look, we all kidding aside, we know your resume. It's extensive, and you're one of the funniest guys out there. Many people know you from Dr. Rock, Rachel Ray, our pal Rosie O'Donnell. I did not know that you had a little, with the Jane Pauley show there for a while. I had no idea about that. But I went
a couple of weeks. Yeah. Jane was great.
Yeah, I went to all my contacts and did a little bit of research that I do on Richie Byrne. Knew about Comedy Central, did not know about VH1. So my buddies at VH1 that are still there, the good old Richie Byrne. But really, it's great to see you. We are just so pleased, Richie, that you're doing the show this year. We have a great group that comes out every year to support us. Faces for Autism. We're just about to enter our 21st year. Mm-hmm. But as I said, it's our 12th annual, Stand Up for Autism Comedy Night. It's the biggest fundraiser we do. It keeps all of our programs going throughout the years. Isabel is our executive director, as you know. She's kept the organization going through this time of COVID. So really, Richie, we're so appreciative to have you with us. And we have another great show with Kenny Krantz and your pal Missy Hall, who we're going to talk to in a little while. She is so excited about being on the show with you and Kenny. It's going to be a great night.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. That was a great intro, but time's up.
Yeah,
exactly.
So that's my intro. But just for a couple minutes, how have you been navigating with Dr. Oz running for Senate? I think you're with Oz for just so many years, 13, 14, 15 years, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So what's happening now for Richie Byrne?
People say that all the time, they're like, oh my God, what are you doing now that Oz is running for Senate? And I'm like, well, I haven't worked for Oz since 2020 because when COVID hit, the first thing they did was get rid of the audience. And without the audience, there's no use for me. A week later, the whole show went because if you guys remember, that was a terrible time.
Yeah.
And he was doing the show from his basement every day, which was hysterical. Yeah. So, and then when they came back, he didn't want to have an audience. He just didn't feel comfortable being, America's doctor and having an audience during this whole thing. So I haven't worked for him in over 2 years. I mean, I still talk to him, but so like for me, like when people are like, oh, he quit the show and he's running for Senate, I go, no, get off my back. I don't care. But I did. I've been kind of banging around just doing stand up, and hoping to get back to do another show. We'll see what happens in the fall.
If Oz doesn't win in November, is he coming back to his show? And if he does,
no, I think he's done with it.
He's done.
Yeah, quite a few years. How many years?
Yeah, he did. I think 14 seasons. Yeah,
I'd say that's plenty. In daytime, we had the pleasure of seeing you at Dr. Oz because Faces had actually, what do you call it? An activity called.
I forgot about that. That's right, you did.
Yep. And we got the opportunity to be VIPs at the Dr. Oz show, which was the coolest thing because pulling off the surprise for our volunteers was to bring, and talk about the perfect storm, bring a carload of children who are autistic.
Right.
A show where you have to be quiet backstage.
Right.
And we got to hear you from the distance from your warm up, which was great. Right. But my son did something that surprised Dr. Oz during the show, and they didn't edit it out, which blew my mind. He got out on the stage and we told him, we go up and you high five everybody and say hello. And he thought that the show, he thought Dr. Oz was his personal friend. So he went and said, hey, hi, how are you, Dr. Oz? Thank you for the show about me.
Yes, that's right. I remember that.
So knowing that you do this every day, my question, because what I do is I do a podcast in addition to Kenny doing a podcast. This one is for Life on the Bright Side. I want to ask you a Life on the Bright Side question because we ask people what lights you up. And describe your perfect day, Richie Byrne.
My perfect day?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, remember, he is married, right? So, I mean, I don't even know if there is a perfect day anymore.
I'd say dinner with Ken Mosca.
There you go. which we are doing very soon, I hope.
Yes, absolutely. My perfect. That's a great question. I'll tell you what. I came close to it as an entertainer back in 2000. I was in an off-Broadway show that was supposed to go to Broadway because I don't know if you guys know, but I sing to it. I was in this musical. And that afternoon, I got picked up at my house and was taken to the Rosie O'Donnell show to perform comedy on the Rosie O'Donnell show. So I did stand up at Rosie's show, and then they took me over to my off-Broadway show where I got to play, perform in that. And all I wanted to do that night was get to a club so I could do I did, TV, live theater, and stand-up. Technically, I did stand-up because that's what I did on Rosie's show. And that would have been a perfect day for me. But I had friends there. I had to go out to dinner with them after the show. But performing in 3 different venues in one day would have been really cool.
The trifecta. That sounds like a wonderful day. So
yeah, it was.
There's still time.
It was. It was. And Rosie surprised me after I did my act, she came over and she brought up the off-Broadway show. I didn't even know she knew about it. She said, what's this show and blah, blah, blah. So that was a great day. That was a great day.
That's amazing. She's an amazing Broadway aficionado. She knows about everything and hosted the Tonys and the whole bit. So how cool was it that you got to be with her and then do that as well?
Yeah. She wanted to come, but we closed before she could get there.
Richie, do you still love stand-up? As you know, I over the years I've gotten to know a lot of comics, and especially when they come down here, a lot of them want to play golf. So I'm out in the golf course with them for 4.5, 5 hours, and we talk a lot about comedy. And it's funny how some feel coming out of COVID, they feel differently about stand-up. Some feel it could be a dying breed. They like it. None of them tell me they love it the way they used to. Where do you think comedy is today? Where's it going? Look, I've known you a long time. You seem really enthusiastic. Do you still love it?
Wow.
A lot of body language there.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say.
You know what I love, Ken? I love on stage. I don't love, there's so much that goes, I mean, I'm having trouble the older I'm getting now with the travel.
Mm.
I'm having trouble with I hate to say this because it's going to come off wrong. And the money, as far as, the cost of living goes up, but the price of doing comedy clubs stays the same and has for 25 years.
Wow.
And, you sit there and you go, wait a minute. And, and you have some club owner or some booker going, hey, man, the money's just not there. And you're looking at their beautiful house and their gorgeous car. And you're going, that's why when people talk to me about ball players and, they're overpaid, I'm like, nobody's overpaid. If the money's not there, they're not going to get it. Trust me. Yeah. So that bothers me. I feel like we don't have a union. So we don't have, if I get sick tomorrow, and there's so many of my friends who've gotten sick, and they're just, screw you. We'll start a GoFundMe. We don't have any health care. We don't have any kind of retirement plan. It's amazing to me how little comedians have progressed from that end. I mean, musicians have it. Actors have it. Dancers have it. Why did comedians never get it? And anytime anybody tried to get it, they were really pretty much beaten up for it, blacklisted, and that part of it, I'm really tired of, So, but when you're really on, and this whole, every time you turn around, so I mean, I had a booker call me, a good guy and a good friend, and I had one line in my act, and he goes, "Listen, man, I'm not trying to tell you what to say, but if someone videotapes you and puts that one line on YouTube, you're screwed. Even though that's not the way you meant it, it's not the way it is in the bit, but if that one line alone," he said, and he was absolutely right. He said, if you say that line alone, it comes off as offensive, and someone could really screw you. The idea that you have to go on stage and worry about that all the time, it's kind of getting old, So, yeah, I mean, from that aspect, I get why comics are saying that. I mean, I've been doing it 32 years, so it's not like everybody gets a little like burned out from their job after 32 years, I would think,
Yeah, that's only natural. But, comics, you guys can be so competitive, and maybe that's why you don't have a union, and maybe that's why you don't have like a universal, health care or whatever. Because, you guys can say, I'm friendly with this comic, or this comic is my friend, things like that. But when it comes down to it, you're competing at times for the same gigs.
Right.
And you're not making the same money. You could be a lot funnier than somebody, and this owner or this booker is going to pay you less because he's got a better relationship with that other comic.
Right.
And
I'll tell you a story. A comic who you would know, he's pretty well known, but I'm not going to say who it is. We were working together about 20 years ago, 15 years ago in upstate New York. And he said to me, he was more West Coast. And he said, listen, we need to start, and this is a long time ago. He said, we need to start boycotting clubs. I said, why? And he said, because minorities are not being used enough in television and film. And we need to, if all the comics boycott and we all get together, they'll change that. And I go, dude, I can't just stop working. And he goes, I go, what are you going to do? Because he was way bigger than me. He goes, well, I'm really big in Europe, so I'm just going to go to Europe for a while. And I'm like, you what?
Yeah, he has a plan B that's still going to pay him, but your plan A, he's trying to take money, away from you.
And he done a million films and stuff, so he was getting residuals. Oh, wow. Thanks for fighting the good fight, Pally. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Look, I found out over the years, what's good for one comic is not always good for another comic.
And that's why
that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why it's so hard. The other thing, Ken, and you and I have discussed this, the idea, I'm not a big fan of comics who feel like they have to say something just because they have to say it. Like, in other words, it still needs to be funny. And you don't have to be offensive for the sake of being offensive. And I don't mean any comics that are big. And I always tell people this. I always say, I don't want to use a name, but someone will say, I want to be like him. And I'm like, well, I knew him back in the day. He didn't just start spouting this stuff right away. He learned how to be a comic first and then put his views into it. And I think that that's something that a lot of younger comics don't get. And they're open to the public more because of social media. So they're not sitting in the comic strip at 2 a.m. working that out. They're actually putting it on this site or whatever, and then people go, oh, that's so terrible. I can't believe people talk. Well, they're just not really ready yet. They shouldn't be doing that. It's just such a hard game. The other thing that bothers me about this now is like, no one cares if you're funny when it's about how many views you get.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know how many comics now that I see that have been doing it like 3 years, but they have a social media following that they've been doing for 12 years. And suddenly they're headlining places because they have a following. And and they're not very good. And what amazes me is people keep going to see them. Yeah.
That's a great point. And the whole social media thing, and now TikTok. I do an NFL podcast with 2 Cleveland comedians.
Yeah. I want to be on that, by the way.
Yeah, I was talking to them the other day, and I said, we're talking, we're doing our plugs, and of course I plugged this show, and I said Richie wants to come on. Chad Zumock, said that he knows you from a long time ago.
Yeah.
Tony Mazur, who's a young guy, knows your name.
Okay.
But Tony's not in the business long. He's 34 years old. He's been doing stand-up a short period of time.
He's as old as I've been in the business.
So, yeah, you're 34 years, I think you said, and he's 4 years. So there's a little difference there. But, we're going to have you on for that. But, again, the whole social media thing, and, with Twitter's such a cesspool, it's just amazing. But I look at various comics, and, again, no names, and I look to see how many followers they have, 940,000, 300,000, whatever. But I look at their tweets. I look at their retweets, the comments, the likes. The numbers are always small. They're always small. So if you have that many followers, I guess a lot of people aren't paying attention, or they're not real followers. And that seems to be something that's being discussed a lot in your business.
Yeah,
are comics buying followers on Twitter?
I hate to say it, man, but if I wanted to get into PR, I would have gotten into PR. That's what I would have done with my life. When people go, you need to do this and you need to, I go, I'm not doing that. I know I barely could get on this. So I'm not going to learn at this. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you know what you need to do? You need to come up with some weird characters and wear a wig and get up for 30 seconds on TikTok. Yeah, it ain't happening. It ain't. Well, then, you can forget and think about it. My followers, they don't want to do it. The people that, no 21-year-old's going to go, hey, I want to watch that 58-year-old guy act. If they walk into a club and I'm there, I've never, ever, ever not had a young person come up to me and go, wow, you were terrible. I didn't get anything you were saying. We're so out of touch. I've never had that happen. Every young person's always come up and went, wow, man, you were really funny. I can't believe you remind me of my dad. You remind me of when you were talking about your mom. That reminds me of my mom. I've never had it happen where somebody young, but that doesn't mean they're going to scroll and go, I want to watch this old fat bastard. That ain't happening.
That's so interesting because your whole job is about connection and connecting to other people. And for instance, like you're saying, the two of you are talking about social media. Our daughter brought Kenny to a show where these 2 guys basically each week go live every single day and do things like using the Brita water filter and pouring different things in and seeing what, like if they poured their pee in there, what it would taste like, like stuff like that. And they have 10 million followers and they had a show in Atlantic City.
Oh my God.
You went, right?
And we went and look, I'm 61. This was about 4 years ago and they were off the hook funny. Came back out on the stage to like a Q&A with the people that remained. They were engaging. They were very young, but they were very poised.
Well, what did they do in the show? What
they
they do?
Very funny.
What they do in the live show though? Did they do stand up or did
they were doing a little bit of stand up and the skits that they do and things like that. And it was different. The crowd was younger. As I said, my daughter, took me to the show and I enjoyed it. I didn't think I would. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it. I thought they were very good. Now, I love comedy. I love stand up. I listen to as many podcasts as I can, during the day. And, I've gotten to know so many comics because of these shows that we do. So I have like an affinity towards comedy. So yeah, I get to be a comedy snob once in a while. There are people who come on and, I'll turn it off after. If you can't get me hooked in 10 minutes, I'm done. I'm not going to keep listening. And I think that's where the competitiveness comes in your world, Richie. If you're going to keep putting stuff out, you have to be funny. You have to be competitive, and you have to stay relevant. And here you are making the point. Yeah. You're staying relevant with these young people.
Yes, absolutely. And that at our events, we have an array of people who are there from all walks of life, all abilities. And I know we went to the one event and I was laughing so hard I could barely stand up. I was, oh my God. So you definitely connect and you relate and you keep it relatable so that you, like you just said, if there's one sentence that you're saying that's offending somebody, it shows that you are a master of comedy because you can do that. And it's not always something where you have to say 4-letter words every 5 seconds to get a laugh.
Right. But going back to your point, I don't want to come off as like some old guy goes, no. I think I'm sure there are ways to take this social media and use it and be funny and I'm just not the guy that's going to do that you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Look at what's the Impractical Jokers. They're from my high school. They started that in my high school. They're 15 years younger than me. I didn't know them, but we went and that all started in the basement of my high school. I remember I used to do improv in the basement of my high school. So I know for a fact, and what those guys do is it's so smart and it's so funny. And the idea they're only really making fun of each other is brilliant. And so I have no problem with that. I have no problem. Like if someone can drink pee and make it hysterical, good for you. Like,
Richie, in your world, it's called being up against it. And I know we're up against it right now. Isabel and I were talking since you agreed to do this show. We've been so excited, Richie, about, finally getting you, as I was joking earlier, to the big show. You've been a friend for such a long time.
What a segue that was! Wow.
I'm getting to be a pro.
It's called up against it, and we're up against it right now.
So now, after that, I'm going to let Isabel close the show.
He's so scary. Oh my gosh! And the thing is that we're really not recording. We're just talking to you. Right?
Don't tell him that. He cleaned himself up. Don't tell him that.
Yeah.
This is going to go out on all the platforms. Isabel has a lot of followers.
Cool.
And, like I said, we value your time. And go ahead, close it out.
Well, we're just so excited because Stand Up for Autism, for people who are watching, thank you for watching Richie Byrne in action, knowing that we have brilliant comedians who will be with us and we've been doing this for 12 years. It took us 12 years to get Richie Byrne here. So we're so excited to have Richie. We have Missy Hall
and Kenny Krantz, who also did a school show for us many years ago. We have Missy because of Richie, and we talked to Isabel and I talked to Missy the other day, and she was so thrilled about doing this show, and so thrilled, Richie, that you recommended her, and we're just so very excited, and it's going to be a great night, and we still have some tickets left. I say faces, the number 4, autism.org. It'll pop right up on the screen.
Yep.
Tickets are only $75, but you get 3 great comics and you get dinner. You get the sea view, the full sea view buffet all night long. So you can't beat that. It'll be a lot of fun. And Richie, we appreciate you very much. Hopefully I get to see you and Rick Adonna. Rick Adonna did the show last year and was great.
Yeah, I'm gonna call him after this. We have to do dinner. We have to go out.
Yeah, I'm leaving that up to you guys, but I just
Okay.
want you to know, not only do we value, and I'll throw Rick Adonna in there as well, but not only do we value your comedy, we value your friendship.
I feel the same way, brother. I love you, man.
Yeah, right back at you.
Thank you so much. Richie Byrne, ladies and gentlemen, if we had on this platform, if we had rounds of applause, we would be playing.
All right, don't be a hack. Don't be a hack. Don't be a hack.
And now we know your perfect day. We're expecting to hear all about it. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
On behalf of Ken and Isabel, we hope everyone can join us on July 14th at Stand Up for Autism. And take care.